And we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to today's session where we are going to be talking about how to price your services, discounts, and all of that good stuff. But before we go into anything at all, please do check out this man, the news guy. The logo is above and the link is below, but you don't need me to tell you that. You get that every bloody week. But I don't even change it up too much, Randy. Fucking, what else can you say?
I appreciate the effort, though. So,
Yeah. Oh, always before and after. I just like to throw it out there and tell people what they have to do. So,
I want to hit you up on this. So, because you ask me this every once in a while, like, hey, because I have sponsored your YouTube channel for, I don't know, going a while now.
and it'll be a number of years. Even I've not even counted, to be fair, but I would have probably said maybe two and a half years.
I think 2 years at least, something like that. And you always ask me, is it working for you, kind of thing? But as an example, this morning I had, you can go onto my site, you can schedule, free consult with me, jump onto my calendar anytime. And, but I had a conversation with somebody this morning they were over in Taiwan, which was crazy. But, it was like, hey, I've seen you, I've heard Craig talk, you guys have been on, I know you're on the doing the thing with Craig talks about, I was like, yeah, there we go. Sponsorship works. Bringing it in.
It's weird. It's weird because, like I say, I've had other sponsors and they're like, nah, dude, no one signed up this week. And you're like, who said they were signing up this week anyway? Like, it might take 3 months of saying Randy before people take action. I'm not saying it takes that all the time, but you just get seen, and people eventually, when they need the service or whatever, they go along, and it's always nice to hear that it does work, and stuff like that, because I know a lot of people are skeptical of sponsoring things. Even now, I still get people, Randy, and they go, Craig, I'd love you to do a video, promoting my AI tool or whatever it may be. How much does it cost? And I always try and give them a fair and reasonable price, and they're just like, no fucking way. Let's do affiliate and all that stuff. And I'm like, no fucking way. So I spend time in that following and everything else, and I may or may not get fucking paid because of the tracking, but because you might price it too high, you may be shit at what you do. There's so many other variables, and a lot of people won't take the chance on sponsorships. They really don't. It's still one of those ones where I'd say probably 2 in every 10 that ask actually go ahead, which is bizarre. But what I have noticed, Randy, is I've said I just point blank refuse as well. To be fair to everyone, you'll know this, I'm an ethical guy in terms of pricing. I don't like to up prices or do anything, but people always go, oh, give us a discount. I'm like, nah, to be fair to everyone else, the price is the fucking price, and that's it. And I had 2 or 3 that asked me about 9 months ago, round about the same time, and they all said no, and they all haggled for discounts. They all wanted 2 videos for the price of 1 and all that.
Like, that is the most ridiculous. Like, oh, sure, let me do twice the work.
Yeah. But they've come back in recent times and went, we've changed our mind. We want to do that video now. Can you still do it? And I'm like, what took you so long? What's changed? So people are now, and I think it obviously is, people are desperate now for traffic because of everything else that's happening. So they're like, how can we get exposure? And they're kind of revisiting it. But obviously that then goes on to pricing, which is the topic we're going to be talking about today. How do you price these things, and obviously anything else that you've got? Obviously, for me, I don't have a huge amount to sell, but someone like you, you've obviously got your agency, you've got the PR service, and various other add-ons. So we might as well talk about your pricing.
Well, we've never, I don't know that we have ever talked about pricing. And every once in a while, people ask me about it, on the agency side. And this is what I'm talking about more, and I think every once in a while we might talk about it in our group, even, like how to price stuff. But I think it's a interesting topic to explore a little bit, because even just like what you were just kind of going on talking about pricing with some of the sponsorships or things that you're approached with doing. And I always think that people, there's usually a mindset of like, and especially guys starting out, which is, in an agency, is like they're just going to go as low as they possibly can, just to attract clients, right? Just to bring on some monthly revenue rolling. And then it's a struggle of like, well, you may bring somebody on for $400 a month doing SEO, and then you're losing your pants. And then when you need to like start raising that, you're going to have a really hard time doing that.
Yeah, it's like we laugh about it, but Slorry was the obvious one. And the only reason I like to tell this story, out with throwing Slorry under the bus, is he never spoke to another SEO guy in his life prior to meeting me, and he just didn't know what other people were charging. So I think when you start out in this business, or I'm sure it happens with any other business, your first goal is just to get money in. Whether you're offering a good service or not is kind of irrelevant. And I think obviously everyone starts at that point, underselling themselves and doing a lot of work for not a lot of money. And I think Slorry was the perfect guy when we seen his thing spreadsheet and what he was charging his clients. Were like, dude, how can you possibly do work for $200 a month? Like, what the fuck can you possibly do whilst making any kind of profit? Like, the best you could do is buy fucking some citations or a fucking the cheapest possible PR blast and maybe one piece of content on a blog post. Like, that's not going to do shit for you. And that is obviously something I see happen all the time. A lot of the consultancy calls that I do with people are 9 times out of 10, these people are not charging enough to do good stuff, to do good work. And you're just like, man, what are you doing? And they're like, surely I can't charge this. And you're like, yeah, absolutely you can. Marketing costs money, whether it be Facebook ads. You might spend $1,000 a month on that. You might spend $1,000 on Google ads. You may spend $1,000 a month on links. You may spend $1,000 a month on content and whatever else. So I mean, if your clients are not paying that, then what the hell are you supposed to be doing at this point? At this point, to generate leads, which I'll never understand. But it's. But I think it's. I wouldn't like to say desperation, but I think people come into it and they just want to work for themselves and they've not really thought out the services or the longevity or the lifetime value of a customer or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, and as well, it's this concept. So like what you're saying with Slorry, it's not even just like, hey, you got to go either buy links or you're doing this stuff, or it's just time, right? And so it's like you only have so much time and you don't want to be working for, $2 an hour. I mean, that's like crazy. You can't do it. So I know there's different models, and I've seen different people kind of price stuff out. And we generally do on our agency side just a monthly retainer. And we just like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We kind of take a look at what the project is. And then we just decide this is what we think it's going to be and effort that it's going to take. But, you can price by the hour. I love to hear your thoughts on all of these. Price by the hour, project pricing, like, hey, we'll build the website. It's going to cost you this. We're going to build, 10 guest posts for you this month. It's going to cost you this, right? So kind of buy the project. or kind of do the thing like the retainer model, like what I was describing, or as well a performance-based pricing, right? Or even maybe I don't know, if it's a lead gen or something, you just say like, hey, for every lead, I want you to give us, $100 for every lead we generate or whatever, right? Some kind of a performance-based pricing. I've known guys in our industry that have done all four of those different models, and I've only just done the retainer one. I've not done kind of any of the others.
I think the first one you mentioned, per hour, I think it's impossible. Purely because, if it's a per hour thing, how can you price your experience and everything per hour and all of the kind of other things you need from an SEO perspective, tools, I don't know, content, whatever else you need to acquire to be able to do it. So very, very hard to do it on a per hour basis unless you're, again, you're going to scare someone off with the pricing at that point.
I know. Can you imagine what you would end up having to charge? I mean, you'd be like charging $200 an hour or something like that. And people are going to like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the killer. I don't really like the per hour model because, again, if you're experienced, you somehow get penalized for being experienced because you're faster and all that stuff as well. So I don't think that's fair. I like the per project one, or I quite like incentivizing. So if you were charging a retainer, but you were motivated by some kind of bonus performance-based thing, I think you would keep your SEO a lot more interested. And as well as I do, there are so many SEOs out there who now do lead gen, and they don't bother with the retainer. They do lead gen, or they get equity in the company or something. They end up negotiating. The ones that are good at it will end up, the company will be like, nah, I want to give you this. I want to incentivize you. I want you to work harder, faster.
Right.
Your retainer is not capped at that point, or your earnings are not capped. So why not? I think that's a sensible one. Retainer has always worked well, but realistically, when you're working for a retainer, I still think when a lot of people come at the beginning of a project, they probably need, I don't know, 20 grand up front to go and get the content and everything else, just the basics. I'm talking about just GMB, citations, good, solid, page structure, silo structure, some decent links. They could spend 20 grand in month one on that stuff. They won't, because they would shit the bed when you mentioned it to them. So that's then split up into, let's pay me 3 grand a month, and you can only do snippets of that work, and you can't move at the pace that you would want to, because yourself, you could go out and get VAs or content writers or whoever works for you and go and spend 10 grand on them just now and get that content ready in the next week or so. And that stuff is all scalable, but people, again, don't want to take that risk. They would get scared. So I think the monthly retainer model is the most common one, but I think people should also charge an upfront fee. I don't think it's fair.
Well, that's exactly what we do as well. So, we would do a monthly, but the initial month that they come on, we charge a considerable amount for that upfront. And I just pitch them exactly the way that you described. It's like, listen, you need several $1,000s worth of work now just to start making headway. Just so you can start seeing some progress as quickly as possible. It's just going to cost this to essentially jumpstart it.
Unless someone else on their end can sit and do all of the content or something, you really are struggling. And that is where I see a lot of people fail, because a lot of businesses will try the monthly retainer model, and someone will take $1 grand or $2 a month, but they're not getting that headway that they need at the start, and they drop off after month 3 or month 4. And is that the SEO's fault? Is that the customer's fault? Probably somewhere in between, because the SEO should have had the bollocks to say, dude, I can't work with your 5-page website that's got no history, that's got nothing. Like, we're going to have to do something here, man. Like, what are we doing? Give me something to work with.
Yes.
Mad. Rudy is here as well. While charging the car and slightly hungover from Brighton, it must have been a good Brighton. Rudy.
Brighton SEO. Was that this last weekend?
Friday, yeah. How the fuck you could still be hungover on a Monday? I mean, that's the sort of thing that would happen to me, Rudy, which is why I don't drink anymore. But it must have been a hell of a party.
Wow.
There, but yeah. So I think, Randy, if I was to do it all again, I would do retainer plus upfront fee, and potentially, if I could wangle some kind of incentivized bonus or something to encourage people to work harder and faster, then I think that would be the perfect mix of everything. But
now, on the incentive, so I have 2 questions in regards to this. On the incentive, I think that's an interesting idea. The incentive is for you, obviously. And so are you tying that to like leads generated? Like, hey, right now you're generating, before we even start, you're generating, X, 10 leads a month. But if we can get you to 30 leads a month, my rate is going to I'm either going to get a bonus, or my rate's going to go from here, from $2,000 a month to $3,000 a month.
I mean, you could do either or, but I think, just to cut the bullshit out, just do it as a bonus so that the customer knows, like, for every lead, they're going to be paying out this. And it just means that the whole thing at that point is transparent and scalable. Whereas, are we just upping a guy's budget just because? These people don't understand anything other than kind of facts and figures. So I have the fear that if you suggested that to a lot of people, like, my rate goes up, that could have someone disgruntled that doesn't fully understand marketing. They're just like, so the better he does, his fucking rate keeps going up. Like, how? No, that's not fair. That's kind of what I would expect from a lot of people going, nah. But if it was worded in that other way, where the money goes up, if it's performance based, I don't think anyone can argue. So
yeah. I like the performance based stuff. I think that's kind of that has some interesting upsides to it, especially. And I really like, and I know, I'll continue with that. So I know a number of guys, guys as well, that are like taking, as a variation of that performance base, or saying, hey, negotiating, a little slice of equity in the business, in order to help drive, their upside on the performance.
Yeah. I think that is something I see happening a lot, and not just from the SEO's perspective. A lot of the guys I know that done client work, the client approaches them saying, we want to offer you this, we want to keep you, how do we keep you doing what you're doing? We want more of this shit. So it's not always like enforced by the SEO. I think any sensible business owner would look at that and say, oh, fuck this. It's the same as you. If you could have a guy that was incentivized to bring you an extra 200 orders a month or something, it's, what do you care? As long as that money's hitting you first and he's getting the agreed bonus, like, you really don't care at that point. Other than, can I deal with those 200 new orders? So yeah, I think that would be the sensible option there. But Rudy is saying transparency and clear goals are important. Performance is difficult with companies just starting and aiming at first. Yeah, performance. It just depends. Obviously, it's niche dependent, and
Yeah.
a lot of stuff as well. You know, a lot of people can't afford to. There's maybe not a huge profit margin in what they do, so
Yeah.
they might not even be able to afford it. So I think you have to try and figure out what suits best each situation. But that would be the perfect scenario, if it was available. But my other thing as well is, from an SEO perspective, I think more and more of them just should do lead gen. Like, why put the retainer onto a client when you can just go and do it for yourself? Like, if you really are good and you know how to generate leads and you can do this, that, and the next thing, why would you even fuck around trying to get the retainer off someone? So,
well, I'll tell you, we've talked about this, or I've shared this with you before, is that, you know, years back we were doing affiliate sites, and then that all just blew up, back in 23 or whenever it was, 22. And so I switched over and just started doing lead gen, and selling the leads. There's all different kinds of ways to do the lead gen stuff if you're building the sites and generating the leads. But I just do it. We build the sites, do the SEO, get the stuff rolling, and then I just sell it to an aggregator. So I don't want to deal with a local provider, even though that you make more money doing it that way. I just didn't want to have the hassle of dealing with it. I wanted the most convenient, like, we'll just drive the leads and I'll just get, X. So instead of getting, maybe $100 a lead, we're getting like $60 a lead. I mean, it's a pretty steep haircut, but I just didn't want to deal with the hassle of trying to find somebody and selling, and then always, I don't know. But lead gen, though, I think I agree with you. I think that it is a very easy model.
yeah, it's guys like Nerdy just crush it, and fair play. They've just got a whole bunch of assets there that just print money, and they don't have all of that hassle. So, and you guys in America are fortunate that you've got places that will take the leads off your hands. Have a huge amount of those companies here in the UK, so you've got to deal with the
individual merchant.
Trying to get your money off of them can prove to be difficult. So you kind of get shafted. But I think you get into affiliate at the tail end of it. In hindsight, you probably get in just as it was dying, which was, you couldn't write that shit if you tried. But but yeah, obviously now knowing what we know, it was probably the wrong thing to invest in. But like you say, pivot and move on to something else. You tried. That's the bottom line. And the days of affiliate have changed significantly. I miss those days. That was my favorite model.
Now, funny though, and we've mentioned this before, but funny, some of my affiliate sites are kind of making a rebound right now. I mean, they're not generating the same kind of revenue that they were once before, but they're like, at least, it's trickling in a little bit now, which is like a surprise, right? It's like free money a little bit. I wasn't expecting it, and I haven't done any work on these sites in 2 years. So
no, I think I've seen a few that I've not really worked on that are just sat there, and again seen something happen. And some of these websites have not had content on them, and I'm talking about the one that I looked at hasn't had content on it since 2019, which is bizarre. Don't know why it's making headway now, but why not? If you can, at least see if you can get your money back that you invested, even if it's over the next 18 months. At least you can walk away and say, do you know what? Fucking lesson learned, but at least I never lost at this point. At least I got something back. Because
on the one side, I did lose. But so anything that I can crawl back on it with as little effort as possible is great.
See, stuff like that makes me sleep better at night. At least if I feel as if I got something back, I as pissed off about the situation.
So I have a question for you. So in thinking about the retainer kind of, when you were doing this, did you sign folks up and like, hey, it's a yearly contract? You know, like it's a monthly retainer and you got to sign up for a year, or did you have rules like that engaged?
No, I wish I did. I really wish I did. I'd love to sit here.
You didn't have any time?
No,
Any time frame? Wow.
and dude, it fucked me.
Yeah, sure.
But my mindset at the time. Now, bear in mind, I kind of done SEO from the early 2000s, and I get rid of my agency in 2015. So we're talking 10 years ago now. But
doesn't that seem like a long time to you? Yeah.
But at the time when I was doing SEO was a very, very new thing. People wouldn't sign a fucking contract. They just wouldn't. You know, they didn't even know what they were fucking buying. They just heard this SEO shit and tried it out. So it was a kind of weird era, and a lot of people did have people signed up. All I used to say to people is, it's a 30-day rolling contract, and if you want to leave, give us 30 days notice, just so that we can tie up any loose ends and finish off anything that, you know, was scheduled to be done. And that worked for the most part. It worked for the most part. I mean, I had a few people fuck me over, and you don't have a leg to stand on. And, you know, after all of that, and then, you know, advising people and having friends who went on to agencies, I would always say, try and at least get someone signed up on a 6-month contract, just so that you've got something going. Because the amount of guys that I categorically sat and said, dude, this project's going to take, I don't know, 5-6 months to start to really get moving, based on, you know, the competition, the state of play with your website stuff. And after months 2, they're like, yep, this shit didn't work. You're a bastard. You robbed me, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, man, what the fuck can you do? Was there any point in even starting? Was there any point in even starting? I should have just took the fucking person's money and ran and done that. But so, you know, that became pretty frustrating, that people would think you were shit because they wouldn't give you the time that was required, and there was no, and I've even made joke videos on it. You tell them, you send an email saying, listen, this is the time frame. Yeah, I get it. And then 3 weeks later, you get an email, Craig, I'm still not ranking. And you're like, what the fuck? What's the fucking point? So as much as I'd love to say, yes, Randy, I had it all set up and I was the dog's bollocks. I made the same shitty ass mistakes as everyone. But I would also blame the era that I'd done it in as well.
Well, that kind of makes sense. I would tell you, man, especially you were really probably getting banged around a bit, because if you were not doing a contract of any term, and as well, you weren't like pulling in additional, like an initial startup fee, you know, you were like,
dude, that's why I nearly had a fucking nervous breakdown after all of them. Yeah. That's why I gave up the agency. I'm just like, this got to a certain level and I couldn't grow it any further. It just, people would drop out, and it just kept being that figure. And then that figure was always in my head. We need to be making X just to survive. And then I started to kind of fall out of love with that kind of model. A lot of it was my own doing, you know, wrong setup, naive to business, and all of the stuff that I always harp on about when, you know, I'm talking to guys in the mastermind stuff. I'm like, just don't fucking do it that way. And not because I think I've been there, I fucked it up. Don't fucking fuck it up like me. Don't let you, because I was the egomaniac as well. I wouldn't listen to anyone. No one could tell me anything. It had to be me that had the idea first, or it wasn't getting fucking done. And again, that's why I'm the way I am with certain people. I'm like, you know, just give them a bit, and just try and learn from your mistakes. And if I can help people do it better than me, I'm happy. So
I know. Well, I know for us, this is what we do now, is that do a 3-month contract at minimum, and then as well an initial startup fee. So that way we're trying to recoup all, as much of that startup, activity that we have to do even to try to get some momentum going. Generally, what I always believe is like I can demonstrate growth, some movement definitely within 3 months that they're like, okay, I can see this is working, kind of thing. So
But look at this. What can you do? Get clients trainers with Velcro, and thankfully not having to deal with complicated bows on shoes anymore. But here's a good question, Randy, from Craig McGill. He's a local guy to me. Why is it so often that the ones that pay the least are the customers that cause the most noise and pain?
God, isn't that the truth?
Yeah, it's that my and when I'm talking about my agency, Randy, I had all of those motherfuckers, all them bottom feeding, fucking low end people, fucking giving constant grief.
And that's why pricing is such an important thing. So not only, if you put yourself in at a low ball price, not only are you not ever going to make any money and even survive, but you're just going to attract all of these folks that are like the biggest pain in the ass and think, hey, for my $200 a month, I should be getting, like the same plan that Coca-Cola is getting for their SEO. You're like, what? You're just asking for headaches.
Yeah. But Craig's got another class question here. A question for both. When did you get the confidence to start walking away from deals and go, no, this is a price, not your 20-cent offer? What was the trigger point for that confidence? I've got something to say here, Craig. I'm not sure it was confidence or I was just at the end of my fucking tether.
That was me too.
But what I realized towards the end of my agency days, see the ruder and more abrupt I was, the fucking more they wanted me, which was a fucking bizarre thing to get your head around. When you're like, go fuck yourself, I'm off. Oh no, what do you need? Oh no, let's renegotiate. And you're like, whoa, fucking that's what's happening here. So I am not sure it was ever confidence. I would probably just say they fucking ground me down to the point where I went, go fuck yourself. I'm not fucking working for that price. But obviously there is a bit of confidence. When you start out, you don't really know if you know what you're doing. I didn't anyway. I'm like, I don't even know if I know what I'm fucking doing here, but I'm charging for it anyway. And, when you start to get results and you see the money that people can make and stuff like that, then you become more comfortable in being able to say to someone, I want what is a fair reflection of my value. And I think there is a bit of confidence when you do see things working and stuff. And it's no different from even working with the likes of you, Randy, as a sponsor. I need to know that that's working for you, or I'm not going to fucking feel comfortable charging you, which is why I always say, Randy, is this still fucking giving you money? Like, let's, talk. And yeah, working, Craig, boom, there you go. I can sleep well at night at that point, knowing that what I charge Randy, he'll be making a considerable amount more, which otherwise he's not going to pay. And I think the mindset for if you're doing that for customers as well, whether you're charging $1,000 a month, $5,000 a month, if those guys are making 100K a month from that, then fuck it, and why would you deal with these bottom feeders? Because those guys there, like I said at the start, Craig, you probably missed it. A lot of the clients that come to you with their brand new 5-page website that's never had anything done to it, probably needs 10, 20 grand worth of work up front just to get a good solid content structure on there and some links and some GMP stuff, and even building up the expertise, authority and trust, all the other bullshit, the knowledge panel, all of the other crap that you have to buy. You could go away and spend all of that money on that. You can't do that for 200 quid a month. It's simple. And that's where you go, nah, I can't work for you. See you later.
And there is a psychological association that a client would have with your price and quality, right? So if you see something, online, and you've seen multiple of these things, and you're like, wow, well, hey, I've seen this stuff and they're like $100 for this thing. And then all of a sudden you see something that's like, only 10% of that cost or 20% of that. And you immediately go, well, that must be crap.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy that. Right. And so I think there's some of that association that's out there as well. Like, I think if you price yourself too cheap, the good kind of clients that you want are going to think you must be shit, because everybody else that I've talked to is charging, 5 times, 8 times as much. So the people you are going to attract are going to be the people like, I want a deal. I'm going to be a pain in the ass. And all right, I'll take that.
I seen a guy's website recently. Now, like you say, it's just experience probably tells you this. A new website, I hadn't seen it before, and on his About Me page, it said 75 years combined experience. Now, to me, that says I have just started and I've not got a fucking clue what I'm doing. But me and my mates are all going to fucking add their ages up and say that that's our full experience. There's certain things that you say that will just instantly put people off, and stupid shit like that, instantly just says a lot about you. And I think low pricing is, I've actually lost clients before because things were too cheap as well. They're just like, it can't cost that price for that. We know, I know reputation management, for example, we know that costs money. It can't be done for $2,000. It's just fucking impossible to be done for $2,000, with the cost of everything that you need. But Rudy says the worst is low-paying clients. It gets worse that when a relative has a website for his dog and knows SEO. Yeah, fuck those guys.
I know.
Coming soon to Amazon bestsellers. Go fuck yourself. How to Push Your Way to Your Second Million by Craig Campbell. Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's a good book. You should have ChatGPT write that book for you.
But lowballing was what cost me my business after 4 years. Back in the day, there was no advice, so more power to both of you. Like I say, Craig, I think, for myself and Randy will be the same as well. Just trying to help others not fall into those mistakes, because I was probably very similar to you, Craig, lowballing everything, just grabbing anything I could. And, my agency, it done okay. But again, I said just before you came in, it got to a certain level and I couldn't scale it any further because I wasn't, and my ego wouldn't allow me to delegate enough. I wasn't charging enough and all these things. So, and I was lowballing everything, and not good. But I've helped many others do better since, like Graham Grieve, he's went on to do very, very well for himself. And these are all conversations that, when he was starting out, you're like, dude, you have to charge the right fee. You have to charge the right fee. And it's hard. It's hard to say that to someone who doesn't know what to charge. They're like, no, I've got to get the cash flow in. And you're like, no, you have to charge the appropriate fee. Fuck this. Or, but obviously guys like Graham and some of the other guys that I've helped over the years have stuck with it and make a few quid, and that's it. And I think,
and then you'll always get the leads, once you do a pitch, and then you'll always have people like, well, can you do better than that? Can you, can we, say if you pitch 2,000 a month, and they come back and they're like, well, but can you do 1,500 or whatever? I just like, no, I'm sorry. This is what it's going to take.
See, the way I done it, Randy, was you pitch 3 different prices. So for the beginner's price, that's the middle and the top tier one. So there's no way you're going backwards.
Right.
That one's the minimum. Yeah. If you want double the work, double the effort, double the links, double the content, double the everything, then take this one or that one. It doesn't go back. There's no fucking special deals or Black Friday offers on that shit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But I've definitely have like walked away. I'm like, this is my price, and I'm sorry. Actually, I say like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to negotiate. I don't apologize for the price, and they've walked away. I've even had clients that I've worked with them, started working with them, and then the second month they become such a pain in the ass. I've just have said, I think we're done. This is not what we do, and this is well beyond what we agreed to, and this is just done. I'm cutting this off right now.
yeah. Have you ever?
And then they're like, wait. I'm like, no.
Have you ever had someone like beg to stay? Because when Craig said this here, go fuck yourself and how to curse your way to making money, I have literally said to someone, go fuck yourself.
Now, I've not said that to anybody.
They have begged to stay. Honest to God, they fucking begged to stay. And you're like, that's insanity. Like, if someone told me to go fuck myself, there would be fucking all-out war. Just because. But yeah, it's weird. But when you're providing results for someone and they're pushing you, I get it why they may panic if you start saying, nah, go fuck yourself. But it is weird how the panic sets in and people are going to be scared to say, but trying to tell someone to do that's almost impossible. People are like, nah, I can't say that. But I think it works. The status quo, keeping price should not be the bare minimum. Do you ever with your services, just a question on that, how often do you increase your pricing? Because obviously you get people signed up and they're on, I don't know, 2K a month. At what point do you say, I want to see if I can push them to 3 or 4? Like, is that something you do every 6 months just to try and grow them as a business, or do you just fucking accept what they pay and do the
Now,
best?
I will tell you, I have done poor. This is something where I have done very poor. As a matter of fact, I rarely. Well, let's see. I've been doing this as an agency side since like 2016, and then I have clients from 2017 still that are with me. And it wasn't until maybe 2 years ago that I said, like, hey, I'm going to have to, I got to increase our price. Now, I just like every year, I just do, and I kind of look and get a feel of what the environment is, so to speak, but I either go 5 or 10% somewhere in there, like an annual increase. But for the longest time, I didn't do anything, and that would, burnt me.
I know a guy that used to deliberately do that. Like, he'd put his prices up. Most people would stay, but the people that he really didn't want to be there dropped off anyway. So he was getting the same money whilst cutting out the fucking dicks, essentially. And, I didn't really agree with it at the time when he'd done it. I thought, you're a fucking maniac. But in hindsight, looking back, I'm like, that guy had the right idea. Doing the same amount of work for less people, for the same money. He was right, and sadly I was wrong. But again, I looked at it before, and I'm just like, you're a psychopath. But the
not increasing rates was. I mean, I've lost a lot of money, or opportunity, I should say, opportunity of revenue by not doing that sooner.
Do you think that your clients, let's say 2 of your clients met in a pub and they were having a chat about you, and do you think someone would sit there and go, what? That Dick Randy didn't fucking try and squeeze me to do more. Like, he should be squeezing me to do more. Why is he not offering me more shit? Why is he not telling me about SMS fucking marketing or what? I think potentially you could be harming yourself by going, this fucking cocksucker doesn't know what he's doing. By not, I'm not saying.
It's funny you say that because I actually have 2 clients. I've had them, well, one I've had since she started business, and she's doing very well now. And then about 3 years ago, she recommended me to a friend of hers who was already in business. This client over here, original, started at a fairly low rate because they were new business. I mean, I'm like, oh, this is what we'll do, and blah blah blah. The referral that came in, I'm almost, I don't even. We'll just say I'm charging quite a bit more for the second coming in. Now, I've often wondered if they would get together and go like, yeah, and then they would like talk pricing. I'm like, oh, that could be a problem. But I don't know. It hasn't happened thus far, so we'll see.
No, that's all good. All good. Fucking hell! I've just had an email there that's thrown me.
Yeah, on the pricing side, I will tell you. Well, before we get off of that, discounts. On the agency side, I don't discount nobody. I don't know. Nobody ever comes at me like, "Hey, can you give me a discount?" Because that's usually once they're going. On my PR business side, the news guy, what we do there, God, I'm always wrestling with, do I do discounts? How do I do a discount? People are always coming at me like the very first, first time I've ever talked with them, they're like, well, can you give me a discount?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I get a little put off by that a little bit, but
see, the thing is, I get why people automatically think they can just haggle for a discount. Should you be pricing your stuff higher to incorporate that or not? That's my.
Well, that's the thing, and that's exactly what I tell them. Like, listen, I think I am extremely competitive priced right now. You go and you look at many of my competitors, I'm going to be lower. I could price my prices higher just to build in discounts, but I would much prefer to like give a very good rate, and this is what it is. But I don't know. And that's what I tend to stick with, and they still buy for me anyway. So I'm like, okay, no loss here. But it's tough though. I know people always want to feel like they're getting a deal, right? So, but
it's one of those ones though. Can you really price something to humor those people, or just price it for the guys who just fucking buy it and that's it, and try and be fair to those guys? I just think there's no right or wrong answer for that, really, is there? You can't win for losing. So, for what it's worth, I would probably go for pricing it for the guys that don't ask questions. I would just say the price is the price. That's it. End of story. Yeah.
And on my press release side, I have not raised our prices in 3 years, 4 years, maybe even. I don't even know the last time we raised our prices. I keep looking at ways, how can I drive my expenses down in the business? How can I continue to, do things internally different to try to maintain my margins as much as I can without having to increase prices?
Yeah. That's the problem now with automation and everything else that's out there, is just trying to, and obviously you've got to remain competitive against
I know
the competition. That's the other problem as well. So it's not an easy task.
Yeah.
But business growth ready is here. Back in the day when purchasing managers, stationery and furniture suppliers always had a catalogue with an inflated price, which you could always end up with a discount of maybe up to 70%. Fucking hell. Yeah. That's the thing. I think like traditionally, like even my dad and stuff, he's always fucking like he obviously doesn't operate in the online space, but see when he's out at the shops, he's always haggling for a fucking deal. And I don't know if it's just a generational thing, like, or how businesses worked back then that everyone just expects that. Whereas now, I think times have changed where it is the price is the price, and that's where you get that kind of problem. Maybe you should be
I
giving.
never ask anybody for a deal. I mean, I never like if I'm going out and I'm doing like if my car needs work on, or I just never think about. I don't know. It just doesn't. I just assume the price is the price. You know, like they're looking at their business and trying to figure out what's fair, and and trying to be competitive. So I just kind of figured that the price is the price. But
I do look at price. I mean, I won't lie. Like,
I mean, I look at
I
pricing,
would look at
certainly.
your competition. If you're £100 more than your competition, I'm going to be like, "Ah, fuck you. That's too
Right, right.
expensive." But I would never go to the person and say, "I need the discount because of
Right.
this or that or whatever." Like, so I do research on price so that I'm not having the pants pulled down, so to speak. So to speak, because that seems to happen quite often to me.
Yeah,
But
but would you ever go and say, like, you're doing your price comparison? You're like, here's this shop's going to do it for 500, this one's for 750, and this one's for 800. Would you ever go to the guy at 500 and say, dude, I'd like to give you some business, but can you do it for 400 instead of 500?
yeah, it's no. I mean, I would never do that. Like,
Yeah.
I would expect someone to say to me, "Well, what part of that service don't you want?" Uh, if you want me to cut that off, if you get whether you're getting, I don't know, let's say you're getting 4 new tires, and the guy said it's £400, and you say, "Well,
Right.
can you do it for 3?" Well, we can do 3 tires for 300.
I know I can give you 3 tires. Sure.
But like something has to give. We can't give you the same shit for the same price.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, it's a crazy way to think sometimes, and I just wouldn't embarrass myself by doing it. It's not worth it. But Business Growth Ready said he used to make satellite dishes for Amstrad,
Mhm.
and Alan Sugar was always after a discount, but it always had to come with a change in the product spec or process.
Yeah. So essentially, you're giving them something, you're not giving them the $1,000 satellite. You're giving them something less. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. 3 tires instead of 4. Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah. I mean, if someone came to me and said, "Right, can you do it for this?" I'll just say, "Yeah, I can do what you like, but I'm chopping off this as part of the service." So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's normally an all or nothing service, mate.
Yeah.
Take your pick. But nah, I'm not a fan of that. I've never been that guy. But like I say, my old man is. He does it for me. So, dude, even buying cars and stuff. You remember?
Now I do that buying cars. I am a haggler, if I'm buying a car.
But they used to always say cash discount and all that. No one wants cash anymore either.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
you
I
used
know.
to say, "I'll give you cash." Like,
Well, especially in the car industry, because they really make their money on the financing,
yeah.
on the
So
loan itself.
they
So
don't want you in
I
there
know.
trying to do deals or paying for it or
Yeah.
anything like that. So I
Yeah.
think that's where the world has changed to a certain degree, where you're not going to get what you used to get. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe in the certain car industries and stuff like that, if you're going to buy some old banger, something like that, you could maybe haggle with those guys. But I don't know. But certainly, I think it's more difficult.
Yeah. I just bought a car recently, like in the last, I don't know, I bought it 1st of September, that first weekend of September. And I was going in doing my haggling thing, and I wanted a roof rack on the top of it. And I'm like, well, I'll take this. I didn't even, but will you throw in the roof rack? I need a roof rack. Will you add a roof rack in? And I even know it's like $200, the roof rack. No, we can't do that. Not at this price. I'm like,
oh man.
Wow, really? Jeez.
It's mad. Mad. But there we go. But any other questions before we wrap up?
Yeah.
Just see. Nope.
Yeah.
That's no questions from the public.
Yeah. I would tell folks, do the project model is good. And I know there's a couple of big agencies that do that project pricing and kind of take it that route. It just always seems like, I don't know. It always seems like you're always having to resell in my mind. I don't want to continually trying to sell the client. Does that make sense? I just want to like, hey, we're just going to go in and we're just going to go do this thing. Right. And so I don't always want to like, hey, we'll do this. And now we've done that. Now we can do this for you. I just like, no, I don't want to resell the client if I have them. So I like the retainer model. I like the retainer with a upfront initial additional fee in order to get traction rolling. And then, I do a 3-month contract, but I would probably, I don't know, I would probably tell folks you should, do at least a 6-month is probably better. But
yeah. And Business Growth Ready says you could always ask, how many locations do I need to leave a good review to get a roof rack thrown in? I don't even. True. The problem is half of these motherfuckers wouldn't even know what you were suggesting there. They'd be like,
"Yeah."
Oh, they'd like the sales guys will be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
I know.
That's the unless you were talking to the chief guy who also done his marketing. I'm not sure that would work. They'd be like, "Fuck off, fucking reviews for a roof rack. What are you talking about?" I would imagine.
Yeah.
Be funny to try them out just to see if you could wangle it.
It just reminds me of a funny this summer my family and I, we went up to Michigan, upstate Michigan. We rented a place. It was the only when little Charlie grows up and he's like adulting, you will realize like it is really difficult to like book time into their life. And like my 2 kids are like they're not adults yet, but they're like they're 18 and 20, and like trying to like schedule like, hey, when can we do a family vacation is like crazy. So like during the summer we had 1 week that we could all consolidate, like, yeah, I could go this week, I could do this week, I got nothing going on. So anyway, but we went up to Michigan and we were doing some stuff, and we were at some kind of a touristy kind of a little town up there. And I was fascinated. They were making fudge, and I wasn't even asking for anything, but I was like, "Hey, who does your marketing or whatever? Because you guys should be doing all kinds of different stuff." I was giving them some ideas. The guy's like, they were making fudge like right in front of you. Like, this is an interesting process. I'm like, I'm going to take this video. I'm going to do you mind? I'll do like a minute video and I'll post it up, and then I'll do it with my review. And then I said, hey, and I'm a level 10 local guide, so this is going to be really powerful for you. The guy looked at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? And my family's like, Dad, just shut up. It was funny.
God, that's madness.
Yeah.
Madness. But anything else before we wrap up, guys? I've got 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get to that hour mark.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to Craig, right? Give him the love.
Yeah. And check out the news guy. The logo is above, link is below if you're looking for your PR service from Randy, which has not been discounted for, not been increased, sorry, for 4 years. So you never know. Maybe this will spark.
Now, see, I probably have done the wrong thing there as well. So
yeah.
who the heck knows?
But if not, then we will see you guys next week for another session. Not sure what topic yet, but we'll come up with something, and we'll catch you then. And Randy,
Right.
you on tomorrow?
Yes, I am. Oh, I've got Brian Winham on
Brian
with
Winham.
me tomorrow.
Interesting.
Yeah. So hot off the press, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Come join it live. Brian is a funny guy. I was supposed to have Joe Marchek and Brian together, like the three of us. Like that was going to be a crazy pony ride, but Joe ended up having a family thing. He was not going to be able to make it, but
fuck's sake, Joe.
Yeah.
That would have been fun. But it'll be fun with Brian. Smart guy. Just ask him about the pool. Everything around Brian needs to be, the pool needs to be brought up. People need to know. Yeah.
I got to remember that, the pool.
So ask him about the pool. See what he says. See
I better write myself a note about that. Like, ask Brian about the pool, because I'll be like, I'll forget that sure as day. All right, brother.